Hi guys. So I'm back again. That was not necessary, but I really want to say it. So I'm back with part 3. Um if I feel like it or like if I have something planned, the story will continue on. This came up in my mind. I was doing schoolwork and it just came out of nowhere. I'm like, "Oh my god. That's a good idea." I'm going to have to rush this cuz I'm going to have to go back to school at 12:55 and right now it's 12:39. So, let's get into this. After Ayaka was apprehended, he went back to school. He didn't hear anything from her. It's been 2 years. You was in your last year of UA before you graduated. Um you decided to visit your parents over the weekends. You go you go over to your house. There was something wrong with it. It's But as soon as you recognized the smell, you immediately called the police. During your entire life, you don't know why, but you always recognize the smell of blood. It's people just say it's like an angel thing. You walk into your house, you see your mother and your parents dead floor. You wanted to scream out loud, but then all of a sudden you hear crying. You go into and you also had 2 siblings. A sister that was 6 years old and a little brother who was 2 years old. You walk into his sister's room. You find them beaten up and cut and everything. The first thing he did, but then you see a person stare at the window. It was Ayako. Somehow she was able to get out of jail. You see her running away from the house with a knife, but of course you couldn't chase after her because your sister and your sister was bleeding out and your brother was crying, but he was still wounded, but he was still crying. You stay with them. You try to bandage her wounds as much as you could, to keep her from bleeding to death. Paramedics came in, took away your parents' dead bodies. You already checked for the pulse. They were already dead. And then they took your sister and your brother, and he was in the hospital with them. After 2 hours, your sister woke up again because she was knocked out when he got there. He was so glad to see that she was alive. But of course, the hospital said she wouldn't be released from the hospital staff said that she wouldn't be able to be released from the hospital for the next 4 weeks. And your brother didn't have a lot of major injuries, but they wanted to do some scans to make sure. So he'll be released in a couple of days. After that, you went back to UA after that. Everyone saw you crying. Everyone asked what happened and explained the situation. Everyone, especially your boyfriend Denki, was comforting you. He felt horrible this had happened. You started to have severe depression. Even after your brother came back to the hospital, he had to stay with your grandparents. Your depression just worsened and worsened and worsened, and to the point where you went to the store and buy happy pills. The pills prescribed say using the right dosage will make you experience some happiness. Right then and there, he was desperate, so he took them. He started to feel much better. Everyone in the class realized this. He was You were too strangely happy to have someone. You were too happy to be a person that lost your parents, lost your siblings, and almost lost your sister to be this happy. Everyone was asking about it, everyone said it was okay. You always said it was fine. See what I mean? I don't make sense when I make these stories. It just comes off the top of my head. Moving back to the story. Of course, no one else found out. He was glad about it. But your worst nightmare happened. You have been taking the happy pills for at least 2 weeks now. And one day, then you got called to the office. Aizawa explained the situation. When Ito was cleaning up the classroom, he found a bottle of happy pills. And he demanded to know who it was. Because it was found... Because there was no name on it. Of course, you deny it was yours. But later on, they found out that it was yours. They said if this ever happened again, you'll be kicked out of UA for use of drugs. But they let you slide because you know what everything you're dealing with, it makes sense. But they recommend you to a therapist. So I did, and of course he was still facing some depression, but not like before. Your sister and your brother was able to stay with you at the dorms. The room was separate from yours, but you, Mr. Aizawa, let them stay because you were the grandparents were getting really sick. And they could no longer stay with them unless they want to get sick too. So they had to stay in the UA dorms. Of course, you didn't mind. You loved having your siblings around, and everyone else did. Especially Denki. He liked getting to know your family. He only met your parents once. He met like your sister and your brother and your parents once. And everything was great. But then Ayako broke out of jail again. Came back once again to finish you off. Of course, he did not let that happen. He was able to grab the knife, pin her to the ground, and almost broke her arm. I guess he was taking out rage from. If it wasn't for like some of the UA students that walked down you, almost that you broke your arm, I think you possibly would kill her. It was Mina who talked you out. It was Mina who talked you out of killing her. Of course, Ayako was arrested, but this time she was put in torturous. Turns out she was found out for doing illegal drug deals. She was responsible for at least 48 murders, counting your parents. You were so glad that she would be gone with. But you was really hoping that she would get the death sentence. You wanted some sweet, sweet revenge. Of course. Since you were here, it wasn't right for you. So, you moved on with it. And everything was good. You and Denki graduated, and you guys got together. You were able to take care of your siblings after you bought your own house with Denki. Everything was great. And nothing went wrong. And turns out Ayako died over drug use because she found ways to get drugs in prison, but then she died from overusing them. You was finally happy with some sweet revenge. And your depression went away finally. And sooner or later, after 7 years of dating, Denki proposed to you. Of course, you automatically said yes. And you couldn't... The look on your sister's face was priceless when you asked her to be your flower girl. Everyone was invited, even the teachers. Except the pro heroes, too. Because since you're pro heroes now. And that was the end of part 3. So I'm thinking about it. There'll be no part 4. This is the end of the story. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I'll be taking another break, so adios, amigos.